Shut up and sit down.
Well, they say all good things come to an end.
What's that got to do with this show?
Nice ride, it's a nice time when you're on a nice ride, riding with your best friend. Nice ride, it's a nice time when you're on a nice ride, riding with your best friend.
Oh, I like to ride my bike.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Want to control your destiny? Well, this little green frog once said, life's like a movie, write your own ending. Yeah, I like that.
Thinking this morning, walking and driving is so boring. It doesn't cost much, and there's no gas. It's 15. I tell him that I loved him.
Nice ride, it's a nice time when you're on a nice ride, riding with your best friend. Nice ride, it's a nice time when you're on a nice ride, riding with your best friend.
That was awesome!
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Turing. I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Dr. Lance J. Hepler.
J. Hepler.
Here for your listening pleasure.
Would have never guessed.
He has a
the
name
J.
tag today.
I got my name tag on today.
What?
That's so you don't forget.
There
my
is no
name.
doctor on there, though. There needs to be a doctor.
I know.
He's a dentist.
Are you gonna explain
slight
that? Are you gonna explain the name tag?
I went to a business meeting when I was in Utah, and they gave out name tags, and
Yeah.
they're like professionally made cool name tags. I don't know why they had them made.
And you said to yourself,
Yeah.
"I'm never taking this."
so I put it on, and then that night I had the party for my daughter, and I thought, oh, this would be hilarious. I'll wear a name tag to my daughter's surprise.
She'll love this.
Oh, that's good. She probably loved it.
I was just being stupid. And then I left it on this shirt, and then I picked it up to put it on today. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to leave on the name tag.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. That is awesome.
So I don't forget my name.
To the left of and holding hands with Lance Hepler, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? Looking into Lance's eyes is always lovely.
Are you up to 20K yet? Are we close?
Oh, way past.
When did we hit the? Do you remember when you hit 1K? We talked about we're like, what's the
next
point
big-
when it's just like
oh.
you hit like your
Blows
lactate
up.
threshold and it just like goes dead up. Yeah.
I think having like a popular video would help. In the video that I posted recently,
Was not popular.
no.
Now are you telling me that the video that you and I did together did not wildly? That had to be a bottom three,
It didn't
right?
blow
Bottom
up.
three views.
It was not huge. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched it. Was it the one about the Instagrammer?
The photographers, triathlete photographers. Thought that would be fun.
233 views.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
233 people that
Oh, no,
willing
it
to
is
watch
not.
that.
When
and
most of Matt's get like
So
a couple thousand
So you're
views.
yeah seriously.
the video
You're-
with Evan probably didn't do great. I think people really want me to talk about watches. They really want me to talk, and I do. I talk a lot about
Is
watches.
that
I
mostly
got
where
a
your
watch
views
on.
come from? It's like
Yeah.
the
those
watches.
are the ones.
And then bike computers.
Like my wife looked at it one time, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you really need to do more videos about like watches and
No,
tech
but
and
all
stuff."
of your all of my videos of Matt's where I've watched it, like that's an awesome video, and they're like 300 views. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Good
I
videos
think
now.
some of my best videos don't get any views.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I think the people that are paying attention, like I think that's really cool.
This is how art
like-
works too, right?
Yeah,
Like the best
maybe.
movies don't make it to the movie theater.
Sure,
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I mean, you got your Marvel movies.
are
Those
trash.
they're gonna blow up, and then you got your Sundance Film Festival movie that's fantastic that no one knows
4
about.
people have watched it, and it got
And then
an
you
award.
got your passion projects, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
anyway, so this one is not blowing up, but I did some weird stuff in it, and there's some interest. Like I tried to do some like photo animation stuff where there's just like a photo that's slightly animated on the video, so it's different than anything I've done before, which I'm all about trying. And and so it just is not. No one's interested. But
That's fine.
I did talk to a whole bunch of
You just need to do like really hot takes in those videos. And then just make
controversy.
Yeah, and then like make that the title where
Yeah.
it's like Matt Legrand says that biking is bad for you or something.
Biking
Or like
all pro triathletes are evil.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I could do for sure.
American Pro
Bates.
Triathlon soft? Question mark.
Ooh.
It's always a question where the answer is always no.
Maybe.
But, it's like,
Pay attention to the end
answer's
of the
always
video.
maybe. Yeah.
Find out at the end of this 10-minute video. Yeah.
Hey, Lance, how much caffeine do you think is in this can of orange cream?
Yeah, because I
Ghost
get that's what
soda
everybody's
thing that-
drinking,
Oh, yes.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
my
wait,
way
wait,
of talking
wait,
about
wait.
what I'm drinking.
In 2 minutes left is
I was getting
okay.
there.
Okay.
And last but not least, Evan Price.
So I don't care what you all are drinking. What I'm drinking today is...
How many milligrams of caffeine are in that? Because
Okay.
Evan won't stop talking.
I think 2 weeks ago I was also drinking one of these. So if it tells you how much I like these. They claim that there's legendary energy in this. This is a
It says
ghost
legendary energy.
ghost orange cream flavor. The orange cream flavor is really good. So we have a good friend of ours who used to live with us, Melissa Gomez, and she knew that I really like orange cream flavors. This is the energy drink she drinks. And she's like, Evan needs to stop drinking Red Bulls or he's going to die of a heart attack before he's 40. So try this. It's slightly less terrible for you. And she kind of read that, like, there's still a ton of crap in here, but there is less sugar than what's in a
there's
Red
L-carnitine in here, which we've all tried for like pre-race stuff or
Yes.
whatever, your pre-workout. It kind of gives you that tingly whatever feel sometimes.
Yeah.
How much
natural caffeine 200 milligrams.
200 milligrams of caffeine.
It's actually also a lie that it's natural
It's from-
caffeine. There
it's
are a
from
lot of
Hold
Hold
caffeine
on.
replacements.
200 grams.
Yeah.
How many servings per container, though?
Ooh, that's a good
Oh,
question.
yeah, it's probably more than one. I
I don't
guarantee it.
see that.
I got it at the
information.
top. Hold
No,
on.
one can. I think serving size at the top.
Oh, only one. Yeah,
Okay. I was going to say, if
64
that was
ounce.
double,
Oh
that'd
my
be
God, if that's 300.
explain everything.
Neuro factor.
Now, granted, we just got a new espresso machine recently. So what am I actually drinking? A lot of double espressos. I'm going very Italian, triathlete now. I figured before I burn out here on Pro Triathlon, I need to at least drink espresso consistently because that seems to be what makes you fast. so.
Granulated cocaine powder. That's weird that's in here.
I will test
And human-
positive if I drink this.
and human growth hormone in
Yeah,
there
as
as well.
HGH.
if I take a randomized test at any point this year and test positive, I'd be like, "Whew, I think I got an idea as to what it
Test
was."
this can.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Whew, yeah, I'll admit to that one."
Awesome. I haven't told the guys this yet, but we're going to do this whole show backwards today. So, okay, that part's over. Now we're going to get into the topic for the day because we
Nice.
don't have Evan for very long, and I want his 2
Because we have
cents on
many
this.
last things, so don't worry about that second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll come back to true one last thing. But anyhow, I want to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
How do you make a time trial totally rad? Totally rad, man. Totally cool.
Totally tubular.
Tubular.
That's still my vote because
many-
it's all T's. It's
many T's.
No, it's just enough T's.
I think time trial is hard to make cool.
Okay, but real quick, Lance, why are we talking about
will
this?
disagree.
Maybe
We are putting on the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial on March 17th.
No,
Did I get
12.
that
12.
right?
12.
That's St.
Did not
Patrick's
get
Day.
March
that
12th.
right.
Yeah.
Put it. Let's
March
all
12th.
put it on.
Oh, is
the
that St.
calendar.
Patty's Day?
The 17th is.
Oh, the 17th is
It
gotcha.
always
Okay.
has been.
That's
but
March
12th.
yeah, Saturday, March 12th, we will be putting on the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of you triathletes listening,
Out
you
of
need
Vancouver
to be
Lake.
there.
Yeah.
And also anybody I'm coaching will be there because I'm going to force you to be there. So
Well, that's going to be one of the questions I have is we'll just start with that. How do we get a pile of triathletes to come out and do a time trial road race?
we make it competitive to where we get to come out and see if we are actually faster than the roadies locally. So, roadies, grab your aero bar, slap them on your road bike so it can be quote unquote fair.
Quote-unquote fair. Pay no attention to my $5,000
disc
TT
wheel,
bike.
disc wheel, and
Disc
arrow
wheel
helmet.
and arrow helmet.
I have multiple arrow helmets. I know Matt does too. I will hand them out to you so the excuses can be minimal.
I think I only have one.
That's okay.
But
We
I
can
can
just
hand
go
it
buy
out.
it. Yeah, that's fine. We
But
just need to start handing
It'd be
them to
cool
people.
if there was like you just label yourself as triathlete or cyclist, and then we just tally the points later.
Throw it down,
in
showdown.
within the dial team, I think this would be hilarious if we do come up with a point system between roadies and triathletes, and we will discuss it in depth on the podcast. So I think that's how we make this
wow.
totally tubular.
Totally tubular.
Is make it a contest.
That could be a lot of fun.
It could be a
could be
lot of
fun.
fun.
Really a lot
It'd
of
be
fun.
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Now, here's a quick question, though, for you. Per UCI rules, which USAC follows, and,
How many triathletes are going to break these rules?
well,
All of them.
a lot of
every
these
single
bikes
one.
are not UCI compliant that you guys are racing in triathlon.
I don't think the time machine is it?
It is, but
I
your
think
seat
it is.
position is not. So you would have to move it into
Yeah.
the back position.
That's okay. I'll just get this.
So
Yeah. What are you gonna lose? You're gonna lose your UCI compliance.
My UCI Pro
license.
license
So,
I don't have yet.
we will be running this race through the Oregon Bicycle Racing Association, and they are notorious for either not knowing that a lot of these bikes are not UCI compliant, or
Not caring.
and they're just not
They don't
caring,
know.
or they're just turning a cheek and they just want people to come out and race. So I think at the end of the day, though, as us being the race promoters, it's kind of up to us to say what we want to.
You can suspend all of us right after, but we have to
So if
tally
you
the
beat
points
us, we
first.
might have to play
We
that
have-
card.
We,
I think
we
we
have to
should
tally
have-
all the points first.
I
Okay.
do think there needs to be a judge of some sort. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like beam bikes? Are you going to allow those? Are you going to allow
Somebody
like
shows up with a
recumbent
Ventum or
bikes to
something.
be like?
Well, not recumbents for sure. I mean, we could make a category for that. That'd be fantastic. But
I think there's one guy that used to love coming to
I used to know
Jack
guys who
Frost
did
time
that.
trial and
In a
loved
recumbent?
bringing the recumbent. Do you
I
know who that
remember.
is? I don't remember what his name is.
If you're on a recumbent bike and it's got a full fairing on it, you can't touch that.
Nope.
No.
Nope. There was a
Good
guy that
for
used
you
to
at that
come
point.
and- There was
Win
one
the
guy-
overall, go for it.
There was a guy that used to come and just smoke the Jack Frost thing.
yeah, there was a
And
guy
he used
that
to run it
used
first, I think.
Wow.
to ride around where I used to live in Orange County, and he was it looked like a banana on wheels. It was a yellow, like tubular looking recumbent bike, and he would just destroy people, and people would flag him all the time, and he would get pissed on Strava
really?
and saying, "I'm on a bicycle," and I'm like, "Well, is that a bicycle?" I don't know.
It's a glorified motorcycle at that point. My little brother used to design human-powered vehicles for school, and they actually
Right.
went to a contest in Australia.
Wow.
And he was the guy on the bike, and they were a very competitive team. And I was joking with him. I was like, could we race sometimes? He's like, oh, I'd smoke you. He's like, it wouldn't even. He's like, you would not have a prayer against this thing at
No.
top speed. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And I mean, they have a full foil, like the
Yeah,
thing.
it's like a bullet.
It-
It's
I
just,
mean, it basically can go on the highway if you needed it to.
yeah, they can go so fast.
Going back to the original question though about
Yeah.
triathletes, how can we convince a bunch of triathletes to come out and give this a shot? Try it out.
So the time period is actually perfect. So really for triathletes is because they're so schedule obsessed is this early season time period for a time trial series is right on, is perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's not into their Ironman builds yet or, oh, I've got this race or I've got this that go, there's not a lot of excuses. So it's like,
Okay.
this is the perfect time period where triathletes get to go out, probably put the time trial bike on the road for the first time in a while because a lot of us have been on the trainer. And, for me, it's rebuild the bike from my last race, which is still sitting in the box and partially built as I need to still adjust. I need to adjust my fit a little bit. So for a lot of triathletes, you're not going to have to do much convincing outside of me yelling at people that they need to come because
Gotcha.
it's
Now,
going to be easy sell.
You'll be there, correct?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you think that you can throw down the fastest time of the day?
I have a ton of trash talking to do with this. Now that Josh won't be there because of kid, he's super bummed. He's not going to be there because of family stuff.
Oh, no.
So now I have to be the guy who I have to beat the roadies now because I've done a lot of trash talking against
yes,
specifically
you have.
Dr. Handel. A lot of trash talking there every single Tuesday night for the last while.
Does Hannel have a?
Yes, he has a TT bike.
He has a
TT
TT
bike.
bike.
Yeah.
You're in
And we are on the
trouble.
same TT bike, so there's zero excuses
Well,
on
you-
either side.
I believe you have a full disc in the back. That's going to be the only difference between
Null
the
and
two.
void. Okay, that's it. Unless can somebody rent him a disc so that we can stay fair on this.
Maybe.
But if we can't, doesn't matter, Hannel. Okay, it's still.
You can loan him yours when you guys aren't. Oh. So
I actually
what-
might.
could.
I might give him mine then
That's a
in
good
between
idea.
races if I don't.
You're going to have to race like what, road category 4? Because I don't think you can.
yeah, I think I'm in
You're not a
category
1-2 guy, and you can't
No.
do that in
No,
the
I
road
can't.
scene.
That's
That's the great thing about the time trial. It won't matter.
Yeah,
You can just go.
No, same course, same.
Yeah, you'll have to race Cat 4s, I'm guessing, and then you'll have the ability to go for the overall.
The only thing that stinks though is he's gonna have great Minutemen out ahead of him. So he's gonna have good pacers out in front of him. I've just gotta.
Pass.
Yeah.
I don't think that matters for that guy. He's
No.
an alien, and he just
No.
puts his head down, and
He
he,
will.
just suffers and goes even faster.
He will.
Yeah.
I am excited. I don't know who else has access to a time trial bike who could be. God, I need Guy Van to get slap on aero bars too or something.
Yeah. Well, Chris Surratt will put down a really
Surratt
solid
has
time.
a TT
He
bike.
will.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh
What
yes,
is he-
no.
what kind of bike
Surratt's
does-
going to put down
Huh?
a
What
huge
kind of
time.
TT bike
man.
does he have?
BMC as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Surratt will be right in that conversation too.
Yep.
He's strong.
There's also 7 or 8 guys in the Ober community who
Oh,
can
yeah.
time trial. Like
Well, I still
Wicked fast.
I still remember from the 2019 the top 5 guys there. I was like, oh my gosh, those guys are flying.
even
Yeah.
old guys.
Oh, yeah.
Greg Steele, Rob
Yeah,
Tornay.
Steele. Tornay is the one who I think will
Borsier.
probably put down the fastest time, right?
Who?
Paul Borsier is quite a time trialist as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But Greg Steele and Rob Tornay and Alex Yale and there's
Yale too. Yeah.
There's fast.
Well,
guys.
the entire Pacific team is going to be. I mean, there's what 6 or 7 guys there that'll throw down blazing times
Yeah.
on a TT
Do
course.
you think anyone from Seattle will come down?
I'm sure that we'll get some people down there. We're going to
People
try and
love
promote
time trials.
Yeah, we'll promote up there, and we'll try and get them to come down. And we'll talk more about a possible series that's popping up, and to get some folks to come down to do the series would be a lot of fun.
Nice.
We'll get into that in a minute.
There will be triathletes there. That is for sure.
So how do we plug into those triathletes, though? How do we get them? Is there?
You guys know the Y Racing event has a huge mailing list, and I think you guys should talk to Carissa about asking.
She and I have been going back and forth, and she's going to be on, and I'm pretty sure that we will get multiple emails sent out to that community, and we'll do what we can to get them enticed to come in.
Date works well. I just looked at their calendar.
Carissa's
You're not overlapping one of her dates,
correct?
Which is great because otherwise she wouldn't want to promote something else.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now the other thing too is a lot of these triathletes are going to come out and be like, I don't want to spend $40 on is that what they're costing these days for an Ober license?
I think so.
Just to do one race. You can do a 1-day license for $5. Yeah. So totally manageable. And then the race itself is going to be $30, and then you can add a second category if you wanted to do multiple categories for $15. But if you came out $35 and did your thing, we're going to try and really bring a lot of fun stuff to this event and make it totally radical.
Like what? What's the fun thing that you
want to? As long as you have a transition rack for me to rack my bike and then throw my run shoes on, that's probably what most triathletes are going to ask: is do you just have a rack for me to put my bike? Will be the fun part.
We can make that happen. But we're going to
make that happen.
Try and have some like raffle stuff going on, surprises to give away, and just we're gonna all of that stuff. I don't want to say that what it's going to be yet until it's like ironed out and it's for sure, but we're going to try and make it worth people to stick around and make it fun. And there's going to be a few of the little categories that we want to add in there to get people excited about coming to do this race.
Tough thing about time trials is they're so long. They take all day. A lot of people are going to want to come, do their race, and hit the road.
They start at 9 and they're done at 11:30.
Really?
Yes.
Because if you've got
you don't want too many people out on the road.
You do have them going every 30 seconds or every minute, depending on how many people sign up. Probably every 30 seconds.
It's always been 30 seconds whenever I've done that race.
So you have a start time. Your start time is kind of concrete. You have to.
Good.
You have to be there.
because everybody's out on the course within
a couple hours.
Like
I was just thinking. I was thinking it was like all day.
No, I mean if we were to do like time trialing and add a bunch of other categories, and if you had like 600 people out there, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. But generally speaking, those are done before noon.
What if we had music and food and party atmosphere afterwards, or 11 o'clock-ish or whatever?
Want to contact some food trucks to come out? I mean,
do you?
Yeah,
food trucks?
Oh yeah,
that would
get
be
a
awesome.
food truck down there for sure.
Get some coffee, some donuts going as well for cyclists because we know that they love the donuts. So. If we do some podium stuff as well, I mean, you don't typically see that at a race event. And the problem with race events in the past with respect to the time trial is that they have to go back and hand tabulate everything because they're going off of like a timer and like they're going by the watch, and you start at a specific time and then you finish, they'll write down your finish time, and then they have to go and, figure out what your split is, and then they have to categorize it and make that all happen. But the goal here is we're trying to get chip timing in place so that it's instant results will be done immediately, and we'll know exactly who won what category, when, why, how, all that fun stuff.
I really don't know why more time. I know why more time trials don't do that. Is because you'll get the arrow weenies out there that are like, well, putting the chip on my ankle is like a little bit, like, except that you realize that, well, if everybody has a chip on your ankle, it's
all equal.
Yeah, it's all equal, bud. So I agree with you. I think that chip timing is absolutely the way to go because having worked in Ohio for a company that put on a monthly, what was called the Blue Streak time trial, that was a nightmare for Jeff every single week to try and tabulate everything. And it was, he had a spotter who would call the numbers out as they was going through, and he's typing into his computer, and Jeff was a machine, so he could do it. But like, I mean, I always told him, I was like, dude, you have chip timing from
there's
your
too much left
races, just do it.
Yeah. Too much left to human error there. And if you can have instant results, why not? Why not do that? I mean, I think it's worth it.
Yep.
So we've budgeted for it, and that's going to be the plan, is to try and have that out there.
Perfect.
Should be fun.
Well. Yep.
Now, another thing that we want to do to make this really cool, and it's always been a thing here, is have the Eddie class. And a lot of folks are like, what is the Eddie class? Tell me about this. And I'm still amazed at how many people don't know what the Eddie class is. And that's basically after Eddie Merckx.
Eddie Merckx.
Go ahead, Lance. You want to tell us who Eddie Merckx was?
Eddie Merckx was the Badger, was the great Belgian cyclist, probably considered the greatest cyclist of all time. Suck it, Lance Armstrong.
Was it the Badger or the...
No. He wasn't the Badger.
Bernard Hinault was the Badger.
Okay, I was close.
Was Eddie Merckx? Yes, the cannibal. The cannibal was Eddie. Because he ate up miles on the road, I think is what they say.
Something
in
like
Belgium,
that.
something like that. Yeah, but he's Was Eddie Merckx the greatest of all time? Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
from when you look at dominance in his era, yeah, like it was.
He won monuments. He won tours.
Exactly.
He won everything.
This is
time
why you
trials,
can't say
he won
Lance
hilly
Armstrong was the
stages.
greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Is because is Lance the greatest GC rider of all time? Yes, in my opinion. That's where
Everyone,
it's.
we're gonna move
knows
on.
your opinion.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
But Eddie Merckx had the fastest time trialing times, and
Yeah.
they had a category called the Eddie category because when he put down his times, that was before they had all of the
Right.
new aerodynamic technologies.
Pre Chris Boardman. Yeah.
So in short, they basically named a category after him, and it's really you had to race with what Eddie had at his fingertips, and that was basically a bike and a helmet. Well, he wasn't wearing a helmet back then, but you're not supposed to have anything with aerodynamic advantages. No speed suit, skin suit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
No teardrop or aero helmet, no TT bike, no disc wheels. None of that stuff is allowed. You have to basically ride on a road bike.
He was racing in wool. I mean, that guy was like, he was racing in wool on downshift too, downshifters like that.
Down tube shifters.
So
for sure. Yeah.
that's been a category, and what I love about that category is not everybody has a TT bike, and a lot of times if you own a TT bike, you don't get to ride it all that often unless you're a triathlete. Like, yeah, sure, I could go out and buy a TT bike and spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000
4 times a year.
Exactly. And so for me, it's like, all right, I don't want to invest that kind of money into that kind of a bike unless I'm a full-on specialist and going to be traveling all over the place, and I just don't have time for that.
Unless you're Dr. Handel and I trash talked him enough to be like, fine, I'll get a TT bike just to shut you up. That's the only.
And, somebody maybe who's doing a stage race and you want to do really well and you need a TT bike. That's fine. But
that's when amateur cyclists get.
If you can just jump on your road bike and go out and do this race and race against a bunch of other people doing the same thing, then that's a great thing. And we could really blow that category up because a lot of people that ride bikes have a road bike that can come out and do this.
Yes.
Yep.
So let's get more people to come out and do the Eddie category. So how do we make the Eddie category even more enticing for even more people to come out and try it?
Well, we talked about splitting it up so that there's not just like one huge Eddie category that's it. And, having like, 40 plus.
Yep.
Or is it 40 plus or 45 plus?
It's 40 plus. And so years past.
So it's like your master's division.
Yeah. So years past, though, they just had an Eddie men's and an Eddie women.
Right.
And it was everybody, right?
Which it makes sense if that's like Eddie is its own little category. You throw everyone in there. We talked about maybe doing the juniors, like having a juniors. What would that be, like 18 and under?
I think so, but I think you almost have to break that up into like your 10 to 13 and then your 14 to 18 or 17, whatever it is, just to make that a little, because like a 10-year-old's not going to be able to keep up with an 18-year-old. But in the same breath, and we were just talking about this not too long ago, are we coming up with too many categories? Are we starting to dip our toe into the water of
like everybody's a
triathlon?
winner.
Yeah, everybody's winning, but
maybe that's what people like. I don't know.
It kind of is to a certain degree, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. If we've got like 2 juniors categories and we've got a men's and women's Eddie category with the masters to boot,
we should do a 30 to 35 triathlete Cat 4 division.
How about a washed up, busted Achilles triathlete
by injury
in their 40s?
Category too? Should we have injury categories as well?
Oh, you're gonna do well in that category.
Cool.
Ooh, you're looking good.
That guy's right Achilles is bothering him, so I think you got the left nailed down. I think that's.
So I think that we need to maybe modify the name of the Eddie category. Just call it the Eddie road bike category.
Yeah.
Just so people can know it's better marketed. You don't have to figure out what that is.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
makes sense.
People wouldn't know what the Eddie category
that
means.
is.
When I first moved here, I'd never done a road race. I didn't do my first road race until I moved to Washington. And when I first went out and did the Jack Frost time trial, I didn't know what the Eddie category was until somebody told me about it. I'm like, oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But I saw Eddie, didn't know what it meant. So
We have a mountain bike category too.
well,
Most people come with cruisers.
we were
and mountain
joking
bikes.
about because out of Vancouver Lake, there's some roads out there that are gravel roads. If we could come up with a gravel time trial,
That would actually be pretty
rad.
cool. That really would be.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Because you
to
could
have-
do
run it
some
simultaneous.
road and some gravel.
You could. There,
And that would
there are
eliminate-
gravel areas you
You could have the
do.
same finish and start line. You just send them the opposite direction. But well, no, same direction. They just turn off to the left there.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
So-
that could be really cool.
because I know
Because
exactly
then
the
you could
direction
almost-
they'd have to go
it's-
to get there. Yeah,
Because if you're doing like, it would probably end up being like 75% road and like 25% gravel, and then you'd really have to think about your bike choice.
Yep.
and where you pick up the bodies from people crashing
Yes.
into the trees on the
I
gravel.
would take the TT bike still. Just risk it.
So
You're like-
going back to the Eddie category one more time. Are we a thumbs up? Are we in agreement that we think that having 2 juniors categories
2
And
juniors
then
is a
having
lot.
2 different masters categories is a good thing, or do you think that
I would look at the numbers somehow. I don't know how you can look at the numbers without having a previous year because you don't have that.
The previous year was 2019 that it was run.
How many juniors were there?
it did run in
total?
2020, but it wasn't on Obra's calendar.
Yeah.
So anyway,
The Eddie senior men had almost 50 people race in the senior men. The
Okay.
senior women had 10, and there was no junior categories.
yeah.
But how many
But this-
juniors?
but in
how many
Eddie's
juniors
senior-
total are there? Or because remember they have those.
How many juniors
I feel like
total?
yeah, because I feel like if you remember that race, there's all these like junior teams that were out there. It was like a really cool atmosphere for junior cyclists.
I think there were
20. There was like 20 between women and boys and girls. It was
Don't
rough.
know.
thought
I don't know if
20
that's
couple
enough.
teams.
I don't know if
Yeah.
20 is enough to split it up into 4 categories between
Yeah.
the
Gotcha.
juniors.
So I suppose we could, all the way up until the start of the race, like make that
Yep.
call. If like all of a sudden there's a whole slew of like 10 to 13-year-olds, and like we'll have a 10 to 13-year-old category. So maybe it's the onus is on us to go get more of those kids.
Yeah. And I think that's probably hard because it's hard to get those junior cycling clubs to show up. But
Well,
They're out
there's
there.
there's a lot of kids out there that want to go ride and race their bikes.
Yep.
They just don't know. I mean, unaffiliated. So how do we connect with those kids to say, hey, come out and try this out?
oh man, I want my kids to do it.
Oh yeah,
How are you going to make the weather perfect that day?
working on it. Submitted a request.
Yeah, that's the tough one.
Yeah, it's such a shooting match of
It
like
is.
Yeah.
roll the
Tough-
dice.
It's a tough
Roll
time
the
of
dice.
year, really.
So, before we go too much deeper into this, too, we keep saying that we're doing this and we're doing that. Well, I want to give some props to our teammate Ian Gibson. He has basically done all of the heavy lifting
Yes.
to get everything put in place. And we actually had this race on the calendar back in 2020 and canceled for obvious reasons. And now we've basically picked up where we've left off. And Ian, again, has done all of the heavy lifting to get all of the permits in place, to get everything, sanctioned and on the calendars and all that other stuff. So
Wow.
thank you, Ian.
Huge
And
thanks.
Now it's our job to help with the promotion of the race. And we want to do anything and everything we possibly can to get folks excited about coming out to do the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial. But moving on, one other thing too, he's actually made a suggestion and a recommendation, and we're going to reach out and see if we can make this connection to get a hand bike category out there.
Oh, wow.
So you've got
Oh, that would be cool.
your people that are riding on hand bikes that, injured or paraplegic or something of that nature.
Yeah.
They do a lot of racing out at Portland International Raceway. They're always out there on their bikes, their hand bikes, before PIR starts. They have access to the track beforehand. So
Yeah.
there's a large
remember
community
seeing
here.
that.
There's
I think-
quite a few.
Yep.
I think if you can get the people, if you can make them aware, they'll be
Oh, yeah.
excited about it.
Make a
and be
category for it.
willing
Come
to
out
do
for it,
They just
absolutely.
they just need to know that that's going to be an option.
Yeah.
So
we've got a couple different people that we're going to try and ping. And if anybody listening to this knows of somebody,
Help us.
have them
Yeah.
contact us, because we want to make a category for them as well. We want to make this a fun event for all, and them included.
And that, I would say, like, let's take that one step further. Like, yes, if you can help us with that particular issue, but there's so many more issues. Like, I think it would be really interesting to, have food trucks there and, sort of a party atmosphere. If you have anyone or any connections to food trucks or local band or something like that, where it's like, if you know someone that is willing to just say, like, yeah, our band is looking to come play some places like this just to get our name out. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think we're looking for
I
to
can play.
make the
I can
atmosphere
play the
fun.
radio. I can play.
You
my
can
radio.
play the radio?
Yeah.
There's a lot I don't know about
Yeah.
you.
Or I could dance.
I mean,
Scare
I guess
people
you're
Folks
right.
music. Yeah, I can see that.
Even if it wasn't like a band necessarily, if we had good, speaker systems and music going and try to make a good atmosphere.
Well, we need to get the announcer out there.
Luciano?
We need Luciano out
We
there.
need
and just
Luciano.
play his music. That's
Yeah.
a
There
great
you go.
idea.
I bet Luciano sings too. I bet he does.
Probably does.
I can see that.
God, if we could somehow work out where the finish line was at, if we could kind of manipulate things a little bit so that people came in back towards the lake, so you could kind of call their names out as they're coming in, that'd be kind of cool. And if you could actually see splits coming up, if we can get some
Well,
sort of
what
like
he what he can see too is because everybody rides back towards the parking lot.
yeah.
So
Right.
then you guys just have to phone over to him what are the results, and he can start announcing as people are like
That
cruising
could
back
be
in.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you finish.
Like everybody
and
applause
you
for
easy cruise back
Matt
to your
LeGrand,
and that's when you
who-
throw your
yeah.
hands up and you're
And then
like,
crash group
bring
style,
it
and then,
in.
yeah.
I need all of the glory.
Every triathlete crashes as soon as they do it.
If we're doing chip timing, and he's got some sort of access to that, and he
Yeah.
can actually read the times coming back in.
Just give him a radio, and he
kind of
can-
interesting,
Yeah, just give him a radio, and somebody from the front can be like, "Hey,
This
This
yeah,
is-
have someone at the radio in the number of the person cruising in on their cooldown
Yep.
or whatever.
there you go."
That'd be
could be-
interesting.
Because everybody's got to come back that direction.
Sure.
And that's what I remember from last time. Is that was you saw who finished and everybody was you just come back and
coming
go
on
groups,
back.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's kind of a you have a finish line, but there's a lack of like the traditional triathlon finish line with an arch and cheering and medal putting on and all the things that
This is what crit cycling nails. Crit cycling,
nails the
finish line is the
big
spot. Thing. Road racing has always struggled with finish line, mostly just because of where I think sometimes the finish line needs to be. Yeah. I think of like all the road races I've ever done. They're like usually not like a hyped energy area. It's once you get back to the parking lot is where the energy is.
There is definitely it's lacking.
Yeah.
And it's even on this time trial, it's like because
of all the dumb things triathlon does, it nails finish line energy.
It nails
oh
it.
my god! People get tattoos because of how awesome the finish line energy is.
How many tattoos are we going to dish out at the?
Who has ever gotten a time trial tattoo before?
Oh yeah,
people got Ironman tattoos. Absolutely.
So Lance, are you looking at the flyer right now that we have?
I am not. No.
Maybe we can pull that up here in just a second. It's on the website. But before we do that, Evan, I think, has a scoot here. So
all right, guys, I got some meetings, so I got to scoot out.
Do you want to do your one last thing real quick?
Yeah, my one last thing is, oh my goodness, I am tired. I've got like 3 more weeks in this training block here before I race a half marathon, and I am feeling it. So I got some stuff coming up that's going to be exciting to talk about, though. So I will be on the next few podcasts. Actually, probably my hope is all the way through March.
Wow.
Whoa.
My goal is at least to be on another
statement.
2 in February, and I want to be on basically every single one in March. So
bold.
yeah.
Bold.
Yep. Got some fun stuff coming up, though. All right, folks.
Cool.
Evan, we appreciate your time.
Talk
man.
to you guys later.
All right.
See you, bud.
So going back to the thing, do you want to just run through the categories that we have listed on there right now, just so that folks know what we have? And then I have a question for you after that.
The categories we have listed are recumbent.
Okay. We did put recumbent on there.
Recumbent, a tandem category.
Uh-huh.
The juniors category, so boys and girls, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, or 16 to 17.
Okay, so we have all that listed on there.
All that
already.
listed on there.
Yeah.
Women's categories, these are your cycling categories. So it's the 1-2s, the 3s, and the 4-5s.
Gotcha.
Men's categories also the same 1-2s, 3s, and 4-5s.
Uh-huh.
Then there's Masters Women's and Masters Men's categories, 40-plus division, 50-plus division, and 60-plus division.
Okay.
So there's a bunch. And then we have 4 different Eddie Merckx road bike divisions at this point.
Gotcha.
One's for women, one's for men, one's for women over 40, one's for men over 40.
Gotcha. Okay, so I've actually had some people inquire whether or not we would consider having a 70-plus category.
Heck, why not?
Exactly. I'm like, well,
If we've got a 7-year-old that wants to come out and
race.
do the race,
I had a gentleman send an email, and I got it this morning, and he's like, hey, I'm 70. Would you guys consider having a 70-plus category?
we'll just send you your award right now.
Well, there might be some competition. Remember, who was the guy who's the triathlon guy?
Lou Hollander.
Lou Hollander.
He's
yeah.
over 80, though.
Well, he's over 70, so he's in the and he will put it to you.
He could come do
You
it.
better watch your back, whoever
Yeah.
that email guy was. There's plenty of competition.
So as much as we've kind of made fun of triathlon, maybe there's something in that recipe. There's a secret sauce there to having more categories, more people feel like, all right, I'm going to come out there and I don't want to just race against everybody and get my backside handed to me. I can at least know how I do against my peers. And I think at the end of the day, that's kind of fun to know how you do against your peers, and to be a little bit celebrated too is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
So-
no, I agree. I don't. I think that maybe cycling does a little bit better job of having less of that.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, like time trial is the perfect spot to try it, to see how it goes. You don't have to like decide for the rest of your life that this is the way things are going to be.
Yeah.
We should be trying different stuff.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't disagree. So
It is a great way to test where your fitness is too, as well.
Absolutely.
Especially for triathletes who are gearing up for a
Yeah.
spring race or a summer race.
this
to
was
just see where they're
always
at.
on my calendar because it was the perfect thing for like a winter time trial thing. And then you know that you're going to get stronger. And basically a lot of these were, 20 kilometers or whatever. And so that's kind of sprint triathlon distance. And then you want to try to hold the same similar pace for like a 40K time trial. And then that's just very similar to like Olympic distance triathlon. It works very well if you're a triathlete to come out and do these time trials.
So I got another question now.
Okay.
And Matt here talking is the perfect interlude to this question. The first time I ever did the race, I found out exactly what the added category was and got all the specifics and wanted to make sure that I was Mr. Rule Follower and compliant. I was reading through the rules and I got to the part about wheels. wheels could not be a greater dish depth than 40 millimeters.
I feel like you borrowed some wheels from me once.
There you
maybe
go.
2 years?
So I had some
Once or
Dura Ace
twice?
50 millimeter road wheels, and they were great wheels for the time being.
And then you had some Boyd wheels at one point.
Well, but this was before, and I had Boyd's too. I'm sorry, I had some Boyd 60 mils, and so they were both too deep of a wheel. And so this was not too long after I met Matt. It was maybe 5 or 6 months after.
And I had some 30s.
You had some 30s Flow, I think it was.
Which I love those Flow wheels.
You let me borrow those wheels so I could go out and do that race. And I showed up and did the race and did just fine in the Eddie category with the wheels that were compliant.
You always got second place, remember? Isn't that like you got second place like 8 years in a row or something crazy?
It was a lot of years. I think it was 3 years in a row. I think it was 2016, 17, and 18. And 19. I think it was it 4 years in a row?
It was a lot.
You lost to Colin Gibson, and you lost to Merrick
Litinsky.
And I think you lost to Merrick
twice.
twice.
And there was another guy in there who I don't remember who he was. But I think for like the first 4 years, the margin of time that I lost by collectively was like less than 12 seconds for 4 years. So I don't know. It was funny. It was 4 years in a row that I got second place. And then the last year I went out and did it was post shoulder crap, and I think I ended up getting like 4th or 5th place. Got smoked by Dr. Hannell. So, but I got him a couple of years before that. So, but anyhow, the question that I have is, I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to get wheels. If I didn't, and I was Captain Rule Follower, and not knowing that Ober doesn't measure rim depth at all, I wouldn't have showed up to do that race. So there's been a question that's been asked of us: would we consider changing the rim depth of what's acceptable? Because right now it's 40 millimeters to something more in line with, like, say, 55 or 60 millimeters. So we're talking about a measly 15 to 20 millimeters deeper dish. Yes, it's an aerodynamic advantage. However, a lot of road bikes these days come with wheels that are in that 50 to 60 millimeter dish depth, and a lot of people would probably come out and race their bikes if they knew that they could just keep their wheels on that they normally race with. And for us, it's like, we want to get more people to come out and ride. So does it make sense for us to increase the dish depth that we're allowing, or is that going to be not paying homage to the notion of what that category actually is?
Here's my question.
Yeah.
I see both sides of the argument. So I know, I have a feeling that we'll let people do whatever they want to and be very lenient with the rules. But I could see why someone would be like, hey, this is the Eddie category. You really shouldn't be riding, deep dish wheels. Like, what are people going to do? It's a huge advantage. That's arguable there too. I would look at what really comes stock on, like, a high-end BMC SLR 01, right? Like, what comes stock on that? Is it, they don't do head wheels that come stock. What do they do?
DT Swiss usually,
Swiss?
or Envy. Those are the two.
What is the DT Swiss typical?
Those, I think, are usually in like that 45 millimeter dish depth, or 40 to 45, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go look. I haven't seen a new bike come through in a while, so
I'm just thinking, like,
yeah. But now,
let people,
if you get like the Time Machine Road, which is an aero road bike, which is what a lot of people ride these days, is the aero road bike. Those almost always come with something in that 50 to 60 millimeter dish depth. And a lot of people are riding those bikes for all of their bikes because there's proven advantages of riding on a aero road bike. It's going to work really well for the type of riding that we do. I mean, there's not a lot of true climbing around here where you're going to need a shallower dish to lighten up your load and climb with.
I think that you're going to upset people either way. It's like no right decision. There's going to be someone that's like, this is baloney. This, you can't be riding these deep wheels or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. Like, if we establish the rules and this is what it is, then that person can go do whatever to themselves, and that's fine. That's their problem. But like, I think you may have some upset people. Otherwise, then the other people on the other side of the coin that hey, this is my set of wheels. Like, I'm not going to go like scrounge around and try and find different wheels. Like, I'm just not going to do the race.
Here's the
so you don't
thing.
want to lose those people either.
That's the idea. Is we want as many people to come do the race as they can, and we have a whole group of people who race road bikes. That may only have one set of wheels that might be over deeper than 40 millimeters deep. I'm looking at the BMC site, and they're like, most of the bikes come with a 45 plus. Wheel
45
set.
plus.
Yeah.
And that's just BMC. There's obviously all of the different manufacturers out there that make their bikes, and that's kind of like the sweet spot. Is like the 40.
Is 50 the number then, or would you just go ahead and say 60? 60 is pretty big.
It's pretty deep, but I don't know. That's
90?
kind of that's
90?
No, for sure on that one. So
I have like a 60-90 combo.
Yeah,
it's like a triathlon wheel. I mean, it's like perfect for doing triathlon.
a lot of people that are going to be riding on a 60 might be doing like a lot of crits, but even that might be a little bit more wheel than they want to be turning around. So what about 55? Oh wow,
That's loud.
that was really loud.
That was loud.
I thought my phone was off. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
it's
I've been doing so good.
There's Bluetooth connection right
Yeah,
there.
I'll turn that off. So anyway, the bottom line is if we were to go to 55, is that going to open up the window for enough people to come? And then 60, is that going to be too much? I think at the end of the day, we do need to increase it because
Sure.
I think it's going to bring more people in than it's going to irk and have people leave. Plus, everybody still has the option to go out and find a deeper dish wheel if they want, but at least you have the ability to come do the race. If you want to make yourself just that much faster, who knows how much of a time difference it's going to make over 20K, but
It's kind of self-governed too, isn't it?
Oprah never checks.
Yeah.
They just don't. I mean, they don't test athletes for performance-enhancing drugs. They don't check your dish depths. They don't check your tire width in cyclocross. I mean, there's just so many. They just don't do these things.
I will say that this time trial, we will be doing drug testing.
Yes.
And it'll be totally random, the entire field. So
Excellent.
if you show up and you're on drugs, or even if it's testosterone, you have been warned.
Or if
You
you're
will
on,
get busted, and it
if
will
you're
be
on-
publicized.
if you're on creamsicle energy drinks,
Oh, Price is in danger. Price is in big trouble.
Gotcha. So what is the consensus of the folks sitting here at the table? I just want to take this back to Ian. And if people have an opinion on this, chime in. Let us know.
What does Ian suggest? What's his?
Ian and I talked about this because I actually had an email come into us from a local racer who asked and said, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Would you guys consider to do at least a 55 millimeter dish depth? And the reason being is that's just what I have. That's what came on my bike. I don't have another set of wheels. And that's what a lot of people race on. And he has a good point.
What I would defer to what Ian. He has done a ton of work on this project, and I respect the work that he's done.
Yeah.
And I think he should get to make some of these calls.
Yeah.
So.
And so as soon as I got that email, I responded back to this gentleman and I forwarded it right over to Ian, and we talked on a ride yesterday.
Yeah.
And he and I both agreed that we think that we should definitely increase it.
What did Ian say? 55?
He said the 55 or 60. He's like, it actually serves me better because, I mean,
he's got options.
He's got a TT bike and he'll be out there racing the TT, but he said that, his BMC.
He could probably race both.
He could, yeah.
Because they're separated out a little bit.
They
Usually
are.
Eddie's at the end, right?
Yeah, it is. Yep. So he wanted to see it increased. So I think that he's got a good point. And if we get to call the shots, then I think that we should do that. But
do it.
I'd be really curious to hear if anybody's got any points contrary to what we're leaning towards here. So
where should they email their complaints?
info@dialedcyclingteam.com.
All right. There you go.
That works. Couple other quick questions before we call it a wrap on this one. We're talking about making this a 3-race time trial series.
Ooh.
And hopefully we were supposed to have had this all finalized this past weekend, but the premise behind what we want to do here is we want to call it the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial Series. And because Jack Frost has kind of been, I don't want to say abandoned, but nobody's promoting it right now, we wanted to keep that namesake in place and call the first race the Jack Frost. And the second one would be the Saturday before Easter. So we do some sort of Easter theme and make it fun for family and kids and all that. Yeah. And then the last one would be the final, the grand finish to this whole series. And that would be in May. And there was an open weekend in May. And then if we can make that happen, we should know this week, hopefully. So fingers crossed, we can come on next week and say, we've got a series.
That'd be cool.
We were talking about the ability to possibly have that final grand finale of the whole Michael Myers series be the state championship time trial.
Oh, that'd be great.
But the downside is, not necessarily that it's a downside, but the requirement is
it has to be
40K. So can we squeeze 40K out of Vancouver Lake?
Nope.
How do they run their Olympic distance out there?
So you do tons of turnarounds. So they don't even
lots
go,
of 180 turnarounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they don't even go. So because of the run part of the triathlon, there's this part where you have the sidewalk that goes pretty much the whole way, but it does cross the road. They actually turn it around before that so that they don't have bike traffic cross run traffic. So we have a lot more to play with to get 40K, but it would be there would be 180s in there.
So we've already got 180 in there because
Yep.
we get to the very end, we have to 180 it and then come all the way back into town.
Yep.
Would that be a deal breaker for a state championship time trial if everybody's doing it to do another 180? And if so, could we do that on the Lower River Flats, or is that just too dangerous?
Well, I think the problem, you have to figure out like that turn, like the person that turns around at the finish line, let's say, I mean, I know that we can move the finish line or the turnaround spot, they would have to come back and turn left.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky thing to do, the left turn.
So you're going back over towards Frenchman's Bar?
Yep, exactly.
And just finish over by Frenchman's Bar? I mean,
well, no, you wouldn't. I'm saying you're heading back out to do the course again.
Yeah.
And you're coming back, and you could go all the way back past the rumble strips and turn around all the way back there.
Well, you could still make that left, and if you have persons like volunteers out there and flagging and stopping traffic for cars, but I don't know. Is that
it's
just
because you're
too
turning
dicey?
left? Well, you're turning left, and there's other TT traffic that's coming the other way.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, that could be a little bit sticky.
But you could also send it all the way back to the start.
Yep.
Which might make that easier because you could basically go around behind the start.
People that aren't here locally are like, what are you guys talking about?
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
The problem of going back to the start then is the rumble strips, and I think that could be a
rumble
little,
strips are horrible.
It could be dicey for people if they're not paying attention.
You
Especially
the nice thing is you could go past the finish line and you could go way down. There's a ton more stuff to work with. In fact, there are some other roads even that we could look at.
So that would have to be a discussion with the city to find out what
let's
we
go
could
ride.
shut down.
Let's finish this discussion on a bike out at Vancouver Lake.
I like that plan.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to add to this? Anything else that you would like to see done to make this cool that would get more people to show up and say, I want to give this thing a shot?
I just think, it needs to be party atmosphere.
Yep.
People need to, I think, and this hopefully gets some complaints, this suggestion, because this is a bad suggestion. But like, I do feel like a lot of people right now want that social media event. They want people they want their picture so that they can post on Instagram. Look at what I did. Look at my thing. And as much as that is a crappy reason to go do a bike race or any sort of athletic activity, in my humble opinion, I still think that if you're providing this service, you kind of have to serve that up.
Sure.
You need podiums.
You need podiums.
And
you need
prizes.
Picture opportunities.
Yeah,
it's all this stuff that's and I'm all about like photos and stuff and photography and videography. I just don't like the whole like I did it for the gram, and that's the truth, right? It's like a lot of these people are, that's the selling point, and a lot of that's like probably more promotional for the following year. Like if your entire feed is just filled with like very cool photos of bikes, kind of bike stuff going on, you're going to want to do that event next year. Yeah. You're going to see all that stuff. It's bombarding you, and you're like, I missed something, and I need to do this thing.
I've always been a huge advocate of celebrating people's accomplishments, and I think what you're doing there is doing exactly that. And yes, it's a little bit vain. It's a little bit like, pay attention to me, look at me. But if you're celebrating accomplishments of what people did by having the photography and the videography and all of that stuff to kind of show that celebration process of like, chest pounding a little bit that I got up on the podium, I think that's a good thing.
I think again, fingers crossed for good weather, because that's going to make a huge difference. But like having the podium by the lake or something like that, where it's like some sort of cool, you want to tie in. I think with a lot of these events, you want to tie in the environment a bit, where we don't have some sort of like gorgeous mountain backdrop to take photos of and have that be a part of it. Well, I mean, technically way off in the distance we do, but it's a little tricky to have great photos from that event because it's basically out in super flat prairie land. Yeah. But putting the podium somewhere by the lake might be kind of cool. There's a sandy spot there. Sure. Maybe get some families involved. Do you think the entire 3 series event would be at the same spot?
Well, that was what was discussed, of keeping it somewhat consistent. I know that could be somewhat boring, but like there's something to be said about knowing the course and not having any surprises.
You can improve each time. Yes. There's lots of benefits there's lots of benefits to doing the course in the same spot each time.
Yeah. So I think that's what the plan was going to be.
I like that idea. But I know a lot of people are like, I want some variety. This is boring. But it's a time trial. It's going to be boring.
Yeah, there are other time trials out there that you can go do.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. So
they're not all over the place. They're
literally all over the place, but meaning that they're everywhere.
You got to travel
here. Yeah, exactly.
You got to be willing to drive.
Going up to Washington and down to Southern Oregon.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So, cool. Lance, you got anything that you want to lend to this?
I just want the party atmosphere. I think we make it more of a party and more inclusive. It'll be we'll get more people to come.
You gonna be out there drinking some beers?
You know me.
Oh yeah,
Party down.
Keg
Lance J. Hepler.
Keg stand Hepler.
Lance Keg Stand Hepler.
Awesome. All right, let's call that a wrap on the topic. Hey, Lance, so what you been up to this last week? Why don't you backpedal for us?
Backpedal.
I rode bikes all week.
How was it?
I had a great week. Well, kind of a great week, I should say. I rode on Zwift several times. I failed a couple workouts because, sometimes you push a little too hard. I did do 2 long rides outside this week, one on Saturday and one on Sunday, which was Saturday I rode with the Mari group. That
is a great group.
Yeah, and there were like 10 of us this week, and
I need to go ride with those guys
Scott
again.
Goodrich showed up.
He's been there for years.
Yes. And I had a great conversation with Scott. He was on his time trial bike.
He's like, I was going to say, I've seen him show up to that on a time trial bike.
Yeah.
But and you know what he said? He said, and group gave him a hard time. And then he said, I just got this new bike. I want to ride it. I was like, good for you, man. Screw these guys.
I don't worry about Scott's handling skills on the time trial bike.
Right.
And we all know Scott's ability.
And he can stay away from the group. I mean, he's not going to.
If he wanted to go off the front, he could have.
Yeah. He's pretty strong.
So it was. I had a really great conversation with Scott. You know that he just qualified for the Hawaii Ironman World Championships.
He is describing it as his dream year.
Yes.
Wow.
Or whatever you want to call it. Like this is it. This is his year.
I think is he 40? Is he?
I would guess 45.
He's somewhere around there.
I'd say he's about my age, yeah.
I think he has a daughter in college. Actually.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we had a great conversation because
he's a good person.
He is a good person, and I haven't ridden with him in a couple years.
Yep.
So it was nice to be able to connect with Scott.
I haven't ridden with him since I broke this little guy.
Well, and he's been doing all this solo training, because that's what you do when you're a triathlete. You end up training by yourself a lot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. He is doing the Hawaii Ironman in October, and then 3 weeks later, he is doing the
Arizona?
half World Championships in St. George.
Ow.
Wait.
Yeah.
That.
So
okay.
So Hawaii is our Ironman's having a weird year. They're having a World Championships in May in St. George, full distance, and then they're also having the Kona World Championships in October, at the beginning of October. He got a slot in October. Good for him.
Which is, this is the dream. You don't want to go to St. George. I mean, sure, go to St. George, but you don't want that.
But he'd also qualified for the World Championships for the half distance, but that's in St. George like 3 weeks after the Hawaii one. So he is...
Would it be 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after?
It's 3 weeks after.
Okay.
So he's going to go all in for Hawaii.
And then just see what happens.
And then just,
that's good.
Have fun.
This is his thing. This is what he does.
He's good at it.
He's great. Well, what's even better than the fact that he's good at it? He's good at it because he's worked hard on it for a decade.
Yes.
And he wasn't always the best. He just constantly got better.
Yes.
And when you see, this is my thing. He's like the perfect example of like a good person that worked hard and you just want to see them succeed.
And the consistency.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
He is consistent. He follows his coach's training plan. Coach says this, he does that. And it's like over and over, year over year, constantly gets better. And now he's going to Hawaii.
Discipline, baby.
It's impressive. Yeah. Super impressive.
So we had a great time. That was like a 60-mile ride for us where we all it was pretty chill except for a couple of climbs, which was kind of nice. And then on Saturday, I rolled up with
Sunday.
See, I got them all wrong. I rode up with
days of the week are hard.
I know. When you don't have a
when
job
you don't have
and responsibilities, I forget what day.
Too busy being Lance J. Hepler.
Dr. Lance J. Hep. Sunday, we did our Battleground Loop training ride with several teammates, and there were 6, 7, 8 of us.
When did you guys go?
We went at 10.
Left at 10. Yeah, we did the rack metric century route.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a nice route.
It is nice.
I mean, Battleground could be sketchy. Did you guys have anyone yell at you?
No.
Oh,
It was
in
actually
Battleground?
uneventful, 100% uneventful.
I love
vehicles,
that.
So that's good.
Punchy ride, except when Jake was
of course.
peeing in somebody's front yard.
Someone yelled at you for peeing?
No. They drove by and glared at him. It was hilarious.
I hadn't started yet. I was just standing there. I was looking at my stem.
Okay.
But I wasn't the only one either.
No, you weren't.
Dang it.
But there were 8 of us. I got crushed on this ride.
Oh,
Too
much?
I kept getting dropped. There aren't any long climbs. There's just a bunch of punchy climbs, which is really my thing. But I had a hard time hanging on with the group. It was very humbling for me to ride.
It's a tough group.
Yesterday.
That's some fit individuals in that group.
It was a fit bunch. So it was.
You want to come ride with me?
Maybe
your ego.
Would I feel better?
Oh, you would feel like $1 million. That'd be good for you. My wife was like, "You need to go on a trip with Lance. You need to get out of the house."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay." Lance and I have ideas. We could find some fun stuff. And then I was like, "I need to start biking if I'm going to go bike with Lance some weekend." You kind of have to train.
It's all good.
She doesn't want me to train. She just wants me to get out of the house.
I had a great time on the ride on Sunday with all the teammates. We went hard-ish in spots, but not super hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was freezing cold at the start, but the sun was out, so it warmed up.
Yeah, it was funny at the start of that ride. Well, not even at the start of the ride. I get up in the morning. It's like 6:30 in the morning, and I go and make my cup of coffee, and I sit down, and it's getting closer to 7 o'clock. And do you guys have Alexa at your house?
Mm-hmm.
And then it popped up with a weather service or weather advisory, and it said something to the effect of
fog or something.
Fog and like freezing rain or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I look out the window, and we're up on Prune Hill, so I don't see the fog. I just had a beautiful view of the sunrise and Mount Hood. I'm like, well, it must be pretty crappy at the bottom of the hill. And sure enough, it was. Yeah. And it was iced over in a lot of places too. And Kurt actually sent me a text message literally like a minute before that advisory came out. And it's like, hey, there's like ice on the roads. We got to be careful. I'm like, all right, well, we got until 10 o'clock. It's supposed to be warmer, but
It turned out to be a beautiful day. I was at a swim meet. I was at a swim meet all day. But I got home and I was driving home and I was stuck in traffic and I was just staring at the sun. And this can be my back pedal. Yours over.
I'm done. I'm
but
done
like, I was like, I gotta get on the bike. because it was like 3 in the afternoon when I got
and it was
home.
like 55 in the afternoon. It was
gorgeous
50,
out.
Yeah.
So I jumped on the mountain bike and caught up to David Goodman.
Oh,
and,
nice.
It was great. Mountain biking is so much fun.
It is.
I'm horrible at it, but it's super fun.
So did you go over to Round Lake?
Yep, Round Lake.
Just went and did some of
Rode
the trails
around.
back there.
Yep.
Have you done anything technical back there?
No.
I think the most technical trail back there is Red Tape.
Yeah, I thought about going down Red Tape, and then I did the one I like is like just I don't feel like I need to be challenged that much, but like I don't know the names of the trails, but the one that's off of the at the top of the gravel road, you loop around and then you start going down, and then you kind of come back up to the same trail. I don't know what that loop is called, but
there's a couple loops up there.
It's really pretty.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I did that a couple times. I just like it.
Yeah,
so
it's fun.
It's like, oh, how do I? There's one spot that I can't get over some down log, and everyone else can do it, and I'm like, I should be able to figure this out. Can't do it.
Yeah, you'll get it. It's just if you compare where you're at right now to the very first time you rode that bike, you have to be a little bit better, and it's just one of those things. Over the course of time, ride it more and just do more.
Oh, I was even
stuff.
trying to like jump stuff going downhill, and I was like, I'm gonna break my shoulder doing this. But that was super fun. And then when I caught up to David after that, and then he was just like, we're just doing chill stuff. Like we ended up going on Heritage for a minute and just doing some easy stuff. So
Cool.
It was good. Super great.
That's good.
It's just nice to be outside.
Yeah.
But lots of kids swimming.
Yes, you've had a lot of that.
Yep. That's my back pedal.
Yep.
When is Ethan's state championship?
Not till the last weekend in February.
Okay, so it's coming up though. It's a couple weeks out.
Yeah, and then we'll probably have a little break from swim meets. So that'll be good. Yeah.
Cool. My back pedal real quick was pretty much Lance already said it. So I did the team's Zwift ride, which was just another team's Zwift ride. Went out there and kind of punished each other.
I got dropped really early on that team Zwift ride.
What happened?
I don't know. Maybe I just had a bad day or something.
It was flattish, except for the one steep ramp.
It was,
and it kept breaking up at the ramp. That was my fault.
It was something like 20 minutes into the ride or something. It was really early on.
It was the Beach Island Loop one, or
I don't know. There was a climb, and I got dropped.
Yeah, it was the first time in a while I was able to hang around until the very end. I am still trying to get the sharp end of my fitness back.
Yeah.
And we did that ride, and it was the first time that I've won a sprint.
Yes, you did.
Oh, wow. I was going to ask. Yeah.
Now,
you won the sprint.
Evan was on there goading us on Discord, and we did something different because the Zwift club thing, we were trying a couple different things, and we're setting stuff up, and somehow, some way, we didn't actually end up using that club thing. We did the normal meetup. I don't know how I did it, but I had it set up, and it gave us almost like it was like in a race, so we couldn't see anybody else in the outward side of the world,
Yeah.
but they could see us. So, which kind of nice because we could keep better tabs of all of the people that were riding with us.
Yeah.
So Evan gets on, and he's like he does. He's always like 30, 45 minutes late to the ride. So he gets there like halfway, and then he wants to come in and blow us all up at the very end. And he's like, "Oh, I can see you, and I'm gonna pull you." And like we're getting down to the finish, we're all kind of like sizing each other up, and he's like, he just takes off, and we can't see him, so we have no idea. So he's like talking smack after the race. I'm like, he's like, "Oh, 8 seconds." I'm like, "We can't see you." So it was kind of funny, but it was a fun little finish, and I felt that night.
How many more days? How many more Tuesdays are you doing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Probably like 4 or 5 more.
I think it's 4 more, if I'm not mistaken. 4, maybe 5. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. It's 4 or 5. It's about right.
And then what? You gonna start doing like?
We'll transition outside.
Are you gonna say like, hey, if the weather's bad, we're doing our Tuesday night thing, or?
That's kind of how it's been in the past. Like
Okay.
we'll do some like encore rides if the weather's really bad. But the time changes basically when we transition off of Zwift and then back out to outside. And Tuesdays will become more of a gravel dirt ride, and the Thursdays will be the flogging rides, and we'll kick those up.
Flog.
Yeah, they're almost here.
Wow.
So, but going back to all the other stuff, Saturday. Oh my gosh. So much yard work, and it was just 100% manual labor, and it was all like very shoulder protected. It wasn't doing anything that was going to cause the shoulder to have any issues, but I was still really sore from that in my shoulder. But my legs were so bad that I looked like a 95-year-old man walking from his deathbed to use the bathroom. It was terrible. My legs were so sore from carrying heavy stuff down, but it was all worth it because we're in the process of kind of re-landscaping a little bit. We had a bunch of trees cut down, and when they came and cut these trees down, it created spectacular views of Mount Hood,
which is amazing.
I can sit on my couch in the morning and see Mount Hood now, and if we're upstairs, it's just absolutely gorgeous. My wife posted a picture this weekend. It was like a wide angle. I don't know why she would do wide angle, but anyhow, long story short, it's a beautiful view. Like I can watch the sunrise over Mount Hood every morning now from my bed. It's spectacular. But anyway, those are out, and they stumped right in. I had to move a bunch of stuff around, and long story short, I lifted way too much. My legs were like literally cramping and could barely walk, and I'm like, how am I going to do this ride on Sunday if I'm this sore right now? And was still able to get out there. But that whole ride on Sunday, like just like anytime you start to put down any kind of serious watts, like you can feel it all the way down to like the bone. It was so bad. And there was one time though that I did put down a little over 1,400 watts.
On one of the sprints?
Remember that one where Ian took off the front?
Ian I tried to go after him, and then you went blowing by both of them.
I came off the very back, and I was able to catch up to him. And he still pipped me at the line, but it was fun. But other than that, it was a fun week. Lots of fun stuff going on.
It was fun.
Lab's busy as all get out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lab's doing all right. I mean, it was just, I feel like we were lucky to have some decent weather to work with. So
Friday, it's going to be almost 60 degrees. I think it's 59, maybe 60 degrees. That's going to be fantastic. So people aren't here to hear us talk about the weather, though, but it's getting nicer. One last thing. Lance, you got a one last thinger for us? Matt, how about we'll come back to you in just a second.
I posted a video recently talking about the best triathlete photographers, which I thought was a cool topic. No one's checking out the video, but that's okay. I think it's worth checking out, especially if you kind of want to get some triathlete photos in your Instagram feed.
Sure.
So go check that video out if you would like. The next video that comes out on my channel should be the Garmin Epics video, because I think all the data I need. I just need to record it and then edit it and put it out there.
Sweet.
So I would expect that maybe Thursday-ish if I can put some time to it. So we'll see.
Awesome.
And then I need to get you your watch back. So I've stolen Jake's watch.
I told you, hold on to it as long as you need, and yours will be here in
Someday.
weeks. So
yeah,
sooner than later, hopefully.
Hopefully. It's hard to get a hold of these watches. This one in the Phoenix 7 is like I can't get a hold of it. So.
Lance, you got one last thing now?
I have nothing more to add to the conversation.
Nothing?
No.
Not at all? You can do anything fun this week?
No.
Are we going to record a video maybe this week?
Maybe.
Ooh, good idea.
Maybe? That's what we're talking about doing. We're threatening.
Working on it.
We haven't put out a video since last October.
It's been a minute.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
We're coming up on 2,000 subscribers, and we haven't given them anything since October. That's terrible. And that's 100% my fault. Well, it's partly your fault, too, because you're always gone.
Yeah. I'll take the blame for it.
My one last thing, I really don't have a one last thing either, other than
you guys are boring.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're just busy is all. Just not a lot of fun stuff to go around.
It's okay.
You know what? I did. Scott Schultz and Eric Simiotti.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the podcast next week, right? And they wanted us to let everybody know that they're super looking forward to that. And they're giving us a discount code, but you know what? I can't share that on here because that's just for Dialed. I just read the thing.
Thanks a lot.
But if you're on the Dialed cycling team, we do have a discount code for you. Just reach out to me and I'll get that to you. For everybody else, that race is coming up soon, isn't it?
Brian Simiotti is putting on Echo Red to Red, and that is happening on March 19th this year. And they're also having an e-bike race on March 20th.
Out there?
Yeah.
Really?
They're having the regular XC mountain bike race on Saturday, and on Sunday they're having an e-bike race.
That ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that put their nose up to that, but there's a lot of people that are riding and racing those now, and it's actually a lot of fun.
Love it.
And I think it's great, and I think it's good for cycling. It's a good segue for people to come out and
Yep.
try different things. So cool, but that's going to be one last thing. And I had that back then, I totally forgot about that. But anyway, you guys, another week, another podcast. Thank you very much.
Survived another one.
Yeah, 207.
Wow.
207. It's already been 7 weeks since we did that 200. Jeez.
It's been a while. We've been in here that long.
It's been nuts, yeah. So, anyway, we do appreciate everybody listening. We will catch you next week. And until then, bye for Still recording. And that's a wrap.